From the beginning, I've envisaged my podcast covering not just India, but the South Asian region. This episode on visual art during Myanmar's ongoing civil disobedience movement is a result of that vision. I arrived at the decision to focus on the historic fight for democracy in Myanmar through a personal connection. My grandmother was half Burmese and became invested from the position of a citizen in a neighboring, differently besieged state. To give our listeners a bit of background, it's important to note that Myanmar, a former British colony like India that became independent at around the same time, was under an isolationist military rule from the coup of 1962 to 2011. The two major moments of concentrated opposition to the military, or Tatmadaw, were the famous student-led pro-democracy protests that began on the 8th of August 1988, thus termed the 8888 Uprising, and the Saffron Revolution of 2007, triggered by a hike in fuel prices. Both were brutally crushed by the junta. This now is the third major moment. In the beginning of February, the military junta toppled Myanmar's democratically elected government, alleging election fraud by the National League of Democracy Party, declaring a state of emergency. President Win Myint and State Councillor and Minister of Foreign Affairs Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Peace Laureate and the country's popular leader, were detained, the latter subsequently charged with breaching a variety of questionable laws. In the wake of the coup, citizen-led protests exploded across Myanmar in the form of a mass civil disobedience movement, the most intense insurgents in years, with young people and culture workers participating in large numbers. The military has, of course, tried their best to suppress the protests, suspending internet access, unleashing police violence at peaceful demonstrators, imposing night curfews and martial law, and terrorizing people in their very neighborhoods. The latest reports by watchdog organizations such as the Independent Association for Political Prisoners put the number of those killed by the state anywhere between 150 and 200, and those arrested at about 2,181. Among the citizens facing this illegal regime's wrath, dissenting artists, writers, journalists, lawmakers, activists, civil servants, and other public intellectuals have been especially targeted, threatened, and killed. Burmese artists, photographers, filmmakers, cartoonists, graphic designers, and other visual activists have taken to the streets and the internet to compose, distribute, and archive images of resistance. Myanmar's artistic revolt has been noticed by English-language international media. While Hyperallergic and Art Review have covered the Burmese art scene in the past, more recently, the art newspaper, Free's ArtNet, and the New York Times have attended to the artistic resistance raging there. Today we have with us one of Myanmar's most well-known young artists, Moe Satt, a conceptual and performance artist and curator, and founder of the Beyond Pressure International Performance Art Festival, Yangon. He has exhibited his practice around the world, including the Busan Biennale in 2012, the CAFAM Biennale, Beijing in 2013, and the Political Acts event in Melbourne in 2017. He has shown most extensively in Southern and Eastern Asia, including India, in Patna as part of Khoj in 2009, and in Goa as part of the Serendipity Arts Festival's Young Subcontinent exhibition in 2018. Moe has participated in many international residencies, including the Dielstadt in Nijmegen in 2013, Récollet in Paris in 2015, the IASPIS residency in Umeå in 2016, the ACC in New York in 2017, and the Delfina Foundation in London in 2020. He was one of the finalists for the Hugo Boss Asia Art Award for Emerging Asian Artists in 2015. On today's episode, we discuss Moe's performance and multimedia-based practice against the backdrop of Myanmar's civil disobedience movement. We talk about the effect of censorship and restraints on civil liberties on the arts, the way in which Gen Z and boomers alike are splitting up across the virtual and actual domains and joining hands against the junta, and indeed the importance of hands as symbols of solidarity in Moe's work, which we discuss in detail. Moe Satt joins us from Yangon, and at the time of this recording, the city hadn't been put under martial law, but even then the internet would be suspended every night, and Moe is taking risks and adopting inventive methods to get on a call with me. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on the show.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share my experience and living under the military junta.
Before we continue, I'd like to let our listeners know how to access the material accompanying our conversation. To view the images and other material being referenced and discussed in the episode, click on the link in the show notes to access the guide. You can also find the link to the guide for each episode in our Instagram captions and tweets. So, first of all, I want to let our listeners know that there's some dispute as to whether Mo and I have met before. We both showed our work at the Serendipity Art Festival in Goa in 2018. And I vaguely remember speaking to him there, but he's not sure that he spoke to me. So the jury's still out on that. But apart from Goa, Mo, you've also visited Delhi, right? As part of Khoj's international residency program.
Yeah, I did. I was joined the Coach International Residency 2009. Yeah, like 12 years ago. That time was in the Bihar, in Patna. International Artist Workshop is held in the Bihar. So like around 20 artists staying together, 10 artists from Indonesia and 10 artists around the India. So the 20 artists, we stay together and we make our work. And then in the end, we show that.
Even though India and Myanmar are quite close culturally also, but one doesn't always have the chance to visit neighbors. So it's nice to know that you've been here. What was the work that you made in Bihar? Can you share with us?
I did one of my new piece. That one is called Face and Finger.
So the photo
combining
CD.
Photo CD. Yeah, that one I did in the photograph and also video as well. So like 108 position or combination face and finger. So there is a photograph and also the video. I have a small pavilion for that exhibition, and also on the opening day, I did the live performance for that face and finger, and then collaborate with the audience as well. Yeah, interactive with the audience. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that work of yours, I think, is well known, and I've seen it as well. So it's interesting to know that part of it was made in India as well. So I thought we could, like, since we're on the subject of your practice, I thought we could begin by discussing that. So I would like to ask you about since we're discussing this in the context of one of the biggest people's movements in Myanmar that has happened in decades. The last time something this major happened, and you also spoke about it when we had our conversation, was in 1988, the famous 8888 uprising. And you're part of a generation that grew up in the aftermath of that uprising. Your childhood and your adolescence was in the lee of that people's movement. Which was quite violent and brutally suppressed by the junta. So, I want to talk to you about your coming of age as a citizen and an artist in the post 8888 moment. Like, can you talk a little bit about your work in that context, and also your influences as a Burmese artist, whether local or international?
As I mentioned, we are like a 80 born generation artist, and also we are the post 88 generation. Yeah, because we not really have too much pressure from the military junta, but we have a two junta. Yeah, like 1962 to 88, the General Ne Win, the 26-year ruling to the country, and then after that, like the 90s to the 2010, like another 20-year, another junta. Yeah, but different junta. And then when I say that it's a General Ne Win time is a very oppressive time. Yeah, so there is a the closed society, the artists cannot go out, and then for my generation time, like after year 2000, so it's a bit the less oppressed, yeah, but because we still have the military government and the censorship, yeah, yeah, but a little bit open door, so we can look the eye on what happening in the outside the country and what happening in the art world, like what is happening in Southeast Asia, what is in the West, America, Europe, and so on. Yeah. So that the my generation, we can use the internet. Yeah, because the internet is start in my country is 2005. Yeah, because at the time when they start, it's like only like 50 the broadband is around the world, and later on, they have some internet cafe. Yeah, so if you want to use the Gmail or Gtalk, so we can go to the internet cafe and then like talk with the other friend with the So we are growing with that generation, yeah. So and also that we can have a send book from the explore like what was happening in the avant-garde generation in the 1960s in the America, and then what is the Pleasant movement, what is junta, and then like avant-garde movement around the world. Yeah, so we can learn from that. Yeah, so that is why most of my generation, the like we call second generation of contemporary artists, our background is not from the painter, yeah,
Right.
because our first generation contemporary artists, they did the some painting, and then later on they do the installation and performance. So but when we start to enter is we come from different background, so we haven't practiced the painting because we thought painting is a big cliche, and yeah, so we can do more than that. We can do more than out of the fray, and then yeah, so we are not really happy to practice the 2D art form. So we want to be do more 3D and also interact with the audience, and yeah, so we want to try to make a border of the audience, and then the artist, and also we want to be make the order is a dead or something like this. So we will have a chance to be audience to be interact our with their own background or the knowledge. Yeah, so we are not really giving the message to them. Yeah, so
So your work, you're saying, so two or three things sort of immediately jump out is that the older generation of artists, they were more conservative because they were trained within Myanmar, right? And they may not have had access to international movements or international art in the same way as you guys. And the second generation, I mean, those born in the 80s and early 90s. And part of the reason that you guys did have access is because of the internet coming in like in a big way in the 2000s in Myanmar, right? Also, I imagine once doors started opening politically, there would be the influence of the cultural influence of the other countries as well, right? Through embassies and cultural centers. So I imagine that at least in big cities would have made a difference for you guys to be able to access libraries and resource centers and things like that. It seems to me that that would not really be possible within the local, like within the Burmese university context so much because it was controlled so much by the state. And for instance, what happened in 88, we know that, Yangon University, which has had a history of fermenting political dissent and, having students who would oppose the government, it was shut down precisely because it was seen as a hotbed of sort of anti-military activity, right? So that's interesting, and that shows that there is this difference. I feel like even when I look at your work, one of the things that really stands out is the multimedia nature of your practice. Spanning photography, performance, and those are the two main forms I know that you use, but also video, sound installation, sculpture. So, what draws you to different media? Why do you make the decision to use different kinds of material and modes?
yeah, because first, like the my generation, when we use the body is the main media, because when I first started to enter in the art field, I claim myself as a performer artist. Yeah. So we use the body as a medium, and also the easy to interact with the audience. Yeah, and later on, I try to practice with the other medium as well. Yeah, because like the installation, the sculpture, and then there's some the photography, and also the motion picture. Because I'm not really stuck in the one media, so I want to be explore all the media as much as I can. Yeah, so that is why we use the I use the sculpture and installation, and then moving image as well. Yeah.
From what you describe, it seems like private actors have filled the void that the state left. Whether it was the India Art Gallery started by the artist Ong Mint in the 1980s, or networking and initiatives for culture and the arts, NICA, as well as New Zero Art Space in the 2000s, or the Myanmar Art Resource Center and Archive in the 2010s. Or even AMCA at the moment. Art workers have traditionally taken it upon themselves to address the lack of technical and conceptual training, platforms, and resources for Burmese artists. So tell us a little bit more about this last initiative, AMCA. I know that you've been doing activities for a while, but it was formalized very recently, right? In January 2021. And I know that you're involved with it. The chairman is the painter and performance artist Tain Lin, a long-time dissident who was imprisoned for many years by the junta in the late 90s. Yeah, so fill us in on what the AMCA is doing.
The university are very conservative, so they only teach you how to draw, how to paint, and then so that's all. So they not even let you to think for the new idea, and then not really have the art institution, the writer, critic, and so all are like a zero. Yeah. So that's why me and my colleague discussed like couple of years ago. So okay, we have an artist, but we also have the same platform to be support to the artist, So for development to the Myanmar contemporary art scene, so the artist is not only the one major thing. So we have to be like a work all the association with all the setup like a curator, art critic, and then collector, writer, or So we need to be work all together, So that is why me and my colleagues that to founded the AMCA. It's
Right.
called like a Association of Myanmar Contemporary Artists,
Right.
We supposed to be do the press conference on the 1st February, but that day the military coup take the power, and we didn't even do the press conference yet. So we have to be announced all the.
But I feel like informally you've been around for a while, no? Like, I mean, at least a year or 2 years.
That's the one is called Beyond Pressure. Beyond Pressure
Oh,
is a
Beyond Pressure, I
festival.
know is your festival.
Yeah,
That is like quite old. It's 2008 when you founded it, right?
2008 start. Yeah. The
I was actually going to
AMCA is
ask you about
different,
that. Yeah, about Beyond Pressure as well, and we will talk about it. But I'm also interested to know how you locate yourself. With vis-a-vis older performance artists like Popo or Ong Mint, and and people of your generation, artists like Emily Fio, Chawai Tain, and Richie Tet come to mind. And also then younger people, because now you have people who are even younger, like Generation Z, who are trying to do all sorts of things and work with even newer technology, and maybe have access to an entirely new kind of imaginary. So how do you locate your work vis-a-vis? And I'm also asking this because I think like in the past few years, a lot of what I've read about the Burmese art scene, for instance, is by experts like Ma Tanegi, Yinka, and Natalie Johnston more recently. It seems like there are lots of people who are working with performance. So I'm also curious about why performance, why the body.
As I mentioned, the second generation of the Myanmar performer artists, and then in the first generation in the 90s, there's no the performer art festival in the 90s in the Myanmar. So and then in the after the year 2000, and then the some of the my senior artists like Aomin and then Eco organized the Myanmar performer art festival for the local, but they not really have a international performer art festival organized by the local artists, We do have a one in 2005. It's called Performance Side Myanmar. They're organized by the JCO, the German-led Singaporean artist, and then the Malaysian artist Chuchuyan. So after the 2005 to 2008, we not really have a international art festival. So that's why me and my colleagues start to discuss with okay, why don't we run the festival? Because we not really need to be wait our senior artists will be organized a big event, So at the time we are quite young, we are 20 something, So and then we not really have an experience to organize the kind of big festival. But for the young energy, so we not really care about experience or okay, we say okay, we will learn from our own experience, so we don't care about that because even we cannot ask to our senior artists from the advice, because they not even have that kind of experience because there is no international festival, before that. So that's why.
But they were showing internationally as individuals, right? So there was a certain amount.
Yeah. Individually, they are showing in the Thailand and then Japan and other, But
you felt like there was a disconnect between their approach and your approach. Okay.
Yeah. That's why me and my colleagues start to found the festival called Beyond Pressure. So the name of the Beyond Pressure is like at that time 2008, country was still in the under the pressure, under the military government, but we see the light. The country will be changed soon, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we give the our festival name Beyond. You can guide imagine the life beyond the pressure in Myanmar. So that's why festival name became the Beyond Pressure. So Beyond Pressure is the festival and also the first to apply to the permit from the board of censorship. So is it very hard in the first stage? So difficult to be dealing with the board of censorship because they don't know how to censor, and also my senior artists are not really allow us to apply to the permit. They say no, performance art cannot be the censor, yeah, because but for us we want to do the performance art in the public space. Yeah. So but before the Beyond Pressure,
sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask. So when you, because I think this idea of public space is also very fraught in Myanmar, right? From what you've explained to me also, and from what I've read, it seems like the older generation of artists, they would rather show work privately, radical work underground privately.
Yeah,
Rather than
mostly they
go
are
to the state
showing
and say,
in
let us
the
do this.
art gallery and then the private space. Yeah. So for the audience are like around 10 to 20 all the same space. You can see same shit everywhere. Yeah. So that's why for us like Beyond Pressure, we want to make the happen in the public space, like in the public part or something like that. We want to be reach to the audience, reach to the like normal audience.
Yeah. To citizens.
Like ordinary audience. Yeah, to citizen. Yeah, who have no experience to the performer art.
Yeah. So, otherwise, it can be very insular, right? It's the same people watching the same stuff. Sorry, go.
Yeah, and also at that time, also in Myanmar, most of the art have to pass to the censorship, like the music, video, photograph, and then the literature. All the art have to be passed the censorship. Yeah. So if you want to do the publish to distribute to the public, yeah. So that's why me and my colleagues start to apply to the permit, and then first they don't know how to censor to the performer art because this is not the theater, this is not the movie, this is not the. So that's why they later on they found out the new comedy for the censorship to the performer art, like one from the motion picture, one from the literature, one from the music industry, and then so theater, one from theater, and so on.
So you're saying that there wasn't a kind of legal framework to penalize performance artists.
Yeah.
That was like a loophole that you guys were able to exploit. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because there were laws for all these other media, but performance art didn't quite fit into any of these categories. So there wasn't any direct action that was legally or constitutionally available to the military, to the state.
And then also when we applied as they don't know how to censor, and also they asked me to do the rehearsal. But performer art cannot do rehearsal because it's a lifetime work. Yeah. So and then not the theater. So that's why we have a little bit, me and the board of censorship, a little bit quiet, and then but later on we found out okay, I can send to the like a short description, and then he asked me to okay, you in the description you have to write what you want to do, how you want to do, and then why you want to do. So that kind of thing, and then also a little bit details that, like for example, like you were holding the like a candle, and then 10 steps enter to the room, and then you were stuck in the middle of the room, and then put down the candle, and then lift up to the candle, and then look at for a while, and then blow. And then they asked me, what is meaning? That's a life. because that is how in Myanmar artists how we play with the board of censorship. We never talk to our true concept to them. So that's why me and my colleagues make a joke each other. Because Myanmar artists is a little bit harder than to the other country artists, because like if you want to create the 1 hour, you have to think about the two concepts. Yeah, one is a real concept, another is a fake concept to pass the censorship. Yeah.
So that's a whole other level of conceptual art, Mo.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because I'm also thinking of countries like Iran, for instance. which have, an expressive and eloquent cinema culture, the aesthetics of which are determined in some measure by state censorship in Iran, right? They too, like you in Myanmar, have very repressive regulations. So Iranian filmmakers have for years similarly sought ways to circumvent government diktats, and they have to come up with inventive tactics like yours, to dodge the
Yeah.
censors by using like coded film grammar. There's a really nice documentary about this called Cinema of Discontent. So, to take this forward into my next question, I mean, obviously, artistic vocabulary is influenced by the limitations imposed on and possibilities made available to the society in which the artist lives. So, and since we're on the topic, I wanted to draw this, make a connection between the three fingered salute that we're seeing everywhere being made by Burmese protesters. And it's apparently inspired by the Hunger Games, first used in Thailand. And your performance pieces that feature hands, whether it's face and fingers that you just spoke about, the photo series of hand gestures, or hands around in Yangon, which is a work in which you feature close ups of hands doing various tasks and engaging in different kinds of labor around the city of Yangon. And whether it's five questions to the society where I live, which also shows a suite of hand signals gesturing towards a certain kind of political possibility. This was because you made the work, I think, in 2015 when the National League of Democracy came to power and the erstwhile military rule ended briefly. So, what is it about hands and Burmese society that you think is has so much potency?
Yeah, because first I making my new first hour, because I try to be see, okay, what like as an artist, yeah, so you have to be choose your own subject or the own concept you are dealing with that, yeah. So I was thinking, okay, what kind of subject should I dealing with that, or
Mhm.
the concept, or the, yeah. So and then I was looking in my hand, because since when I was young, I was looking my hand, because my mom said that my finger is a little bit longer than to the other people. So it means I can be the artist when I grow up. Yeah. So, but I have not really have an art background, and I'm very bad in the drawing. And yeah, so that's why, okay, maybe that's not the true. Yeah, but I always look at to my hand and finger. So and then sometimes when I grew up in the 90s in Myanmar, we have a lot of time no electricity, like the cut off the electricity, yeah, so we use with the in the night with the candlelight, so and then we make some kind of shadow or something like that, yeah. So this is how we grew it. So that's when I start to do the hour. So and then I think, okay, I can be dealing with my hands. So first my work is like I'm making the alphabet with my hand, so the
Mhm.
position of the
So this is like
alphabet A,
hand
B, C, D.
shadows, like
Yeah.
yeah, okay, even I did that. That's high
Yeah,
five.
yeah, and then later on, I was like developed that idea. So a lot of the hand position, and then even when I perform with the face and finger, that's also the perform with the like the movement of the hand. Yeah. So and also with the video, when I practice the video, I think that's it. The hand around young is my first CD of the video.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
did you
and
have somebody shoot it or did you shoot it yourself?
it's a both. Some of the CD I shoot, and then some of the CD, and then I ask to the professional cameraman, and then the professional the editor. Yeah.
Okay.
So because I want to be the first like a hand on Yangon is I want to be record to the all the hand movement in Myanmar, because and then I've been a lot of the some country travel in Southeast Asia, and then the Europe, and then so and then when I back home, I saw that the in the Myanmar society, the people still using the most of the thing with the hand. Yeah. So like
Mhm.
people like in India, so people eating the hand,
Mm.
and also the the fizzing to the umbrella, or like filling to the gas lighter.
Mhm.
So that kind of hand you can you cannot see in the Western culture.
Yeah.
Nobody fits to the umbrella, nobody fits to the shoe, or yeah, and then nobody feel it to the gas like that. If you finish your gas like that, people throw it out. Yeah. So in our society, I can see a lot of things. It's like also even in the tailor, so you use the hand tailor. So that's why I think, okay, it's I better to be record to the hand movement around the Yangon, the city where I live. I want to be like a portrait of the city where I live, because I don't want to
Yeah.
be show the city landscape, and then so because what I think is, okay, portrait of the Yangon is true with the lamp or the hand movement. So I'm not really showing to the people face, and then people what they wearing, or what is the color look like, and then but I'm showing with the lamp through with the hand movement. For example, like enter to the like a bridge, so there's like a nail cutter, the surface. So that kind of thing you cannot see in the other country. So that's why I mostly find out the very specific the hand, and a very identity hand in the my city, Yangon. So this is how I start. So later on, so I was record the hand around in the Busan, hand around in the Hanoi, and then hand around in the Akihabara in Japan, and then hand around in the Yogyakarta.
So it's cities all over Southeast Asia and East Asia.
Yeah. And also, and then as I mentioned, I was try to be practice different media. So after the video, I try to be practice the sculpture, and then some the neon test. So that's why I'm making the 5 question to the society where I live. So there's like a test, like, are you okay? Are you good? Are you peace? And are you vote, or are you against the junta? Because this is like the 3 finger. So I was using, because that the 3 finger is inspired from the Hunger Game. And then later on, I saw that the 3 finger in the protest in the Thailand.
Right.
In
That's
Bangkok.
where that's where
then,
it first sort of emerged.
and then later on the Hong Kong protest. So and then when I'm making that the neon installation, because I custom my own hand, and then using my hand sculpture and with the neon test. So when I using that the test, and then that's in installation. So Myanmar people didn't happen in the riot yet. So now it's at 2021, and then so people using the 3 finger as a symbolic of our Supreme Revolution.
So you kind of called it, because you made the work before any of this happened. And I think it also speaks to a history of labor, right? I mean, which you try to show in Yangon, and a certain kind of recognition of of the proletariat in a way as well, because we always think of the fist, right? In even in communist iconography. And solidarity is something that we sort of imagine as a holding of hands, and which is also why the motif of the hands across different cities in Southeast Asia, especially in cities which have experienced the kind of civil strife that Myanmar is currently experiencing, really opens up the possibilities of what the image of the hand can bespeak, can symbolize. We're discussing mudras, which are in Myanmar historically associated with Buddhism, or at least Buddhist social practice and aesthetics. So I'm also curious about artists using religious or cultural motifs in Myanmar, because of the ethnic and religious tensions within the country. Using Buddhist or Bamar, which is the ethnic majority, symbols could be seen as aggressive as well, right? I mean, the larger context is of a sort of Burma supremacist or Buddhist extremist movement within Myanmar. Like in the province of Rakhine, you've had genocidal situations. So, what do you say to the use of that sort of cultural or religious symbolism?
So in the 1988, so the military lose the power somehow, and then so they try to find a way how they can be sustainable to the power, to keep to the power. So and then what they found is they found that they kind of copycat from the Sri Lanka, like Tamil Tiger, and then
Right, the
yeah,
Tamil and
yeah, yeah.
Sinhalese
So
conflict.
in the 1989, they found that, but at that time they are kind of the underground movement, so not really big, and the people didn't know that. And then so the 90s, so the military get the power again, so they they took the power. So during that time, so they are like easy because that grew also the behind by the military. Yeah. So and then the after the 2010 won the first election, so for the long time, and then so after that a year after that, so they try to be play with that kind of the game because they want to be show us, I mean the show to the citizen like chaos and then the violence everywhere to happen because if
Mm,
what they want to
mm.
give to the message to us is like okay, see, you guys are living under the military with the peacefully, so now you say like a democratic government, your life is not really peacefully, chaos everywhere, and then yeah,
Right. So you're saying that there was an attempt to engineer these
yes,
social
that's true,
tensions,
yeah,
and that would rip the social fabric
yeah,
of Myanmar.
they want to make a chaos, yeah, and then also they really want to be sure to that chaos is happen by the Aung San Suu Kyi government, yeah.
Right, right. So
So
then
they,
the Aung San Suu Kyi government gets
yeah,
blamed
yeah.
for
So
it.
because they
Yeah.
want to be blamed to the Aung San Suu Kyi government. Also at that time, also if the Aung San Suu Kyi say something wrong to the military, and then military will be like take power, saying like 21 because according to the constitution, they said that if the country is a chaos, the military can combat anytime. Yeah. So that is why,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
that's why,
that's quite
yeah,
a
that is
caveat.
why Aung San Suu Kyi
That-
try to be negotiate with the military and try to be reconciliation with the military. So that's why she not really blamed to that army what they done in the Rohingya and then Rakhine state. So that's
yeah,
why
but that was quite
even in the some
disappointing,
local
no?
people
Like,
also get angry. Why she got silent? Why she
mm,
zip up her
yeah.
mouth and why she not speak out? Yeah,
I mean, she denied anything had
yeah,
happened, right?
yeah.
Which was deeply disappointing because, I mean, I mean, you can't throw your citizens under the bus like this, right? I'm also thinking of the conversation we had earlier in this episode about the influence of the avant-garde artists from the 1960s in New York and in other parts of the Western world. You spoke about Bruce Nauman and his influence, and he has a famous work, I think called 15 Pairs of Hands or something, which
Yeah.
comes to mind.
When I make my award, so I try to be a voice not similar with the mudra position. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I want to be do something as, yeah. So like not really have a same with like how to call them that people talk sign language. Yeah. So
Mhm.
not similar with the sign language, not similar with the mudra. So I want to be try my own language of the hand by myself. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So and Bruce Newman is kind of I got a lot of inspiration from him because he did a lot of the hand sculpture, and then also one of the award is a big. I mean, totally same with him because I didn't recognize him. He did in 1996 the award called the all time. Yeah, the finger that
Mm,
all the
yeah.
finger with the thumb. Yeah, he did it in 1990, but I didn't know that like, and then I did that the same piece in the 2007 for this
Oh, okay.
digital montage, and then with the Photoshop, and then later on I transformed to the sculpture, and then after that I saw the picture in the MoMA. Yeah, and then I was shocked. Oh, why is totally similar? Yeah, and then after that, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should not show this work to the public. But later on, I was talk to myself because when I create this work, I didn't know that he already make it. Yeah, so that's why, and I can say, okay, this one can be like dedicated or honor to the Bruce
Like an
Newman.
homage
Yeah,
to
homage,
to Bruce.
homage to the Bruce Newman. I make a wall, but I didn't have to know that he already did it. Yeah, so so that kind of
yeah, it's
similar thing
interesting that you
happened.
kind of it occurred to you as well. Yeah, but I think it's also, I mean, your practice is so invested in thinking about gesturality. I also wanted to talk about the Parasol Alternative Project. I know that you mounted that in Shanghai as a finalist for the Hugo Boss Asia Art Award, and I thought it was interesting. Like basically, you had all these umbrellas which were of the same color as the Burmese national flag, and then they had zips, and so you could move the zips. So what did you wish to signify?
The idea is about, you may know that like under the umbrella or something like that. So that kind of the name, because we used to live in that kind of under the military umbrella. Yeah,
So it's a metaphor.
yeah. We want to be try to that destroy to that kind of the umbrella. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was like a destruction of the umbrella, which
Yeah,
represented
and then for that piece, there's not only the singular meaning, they have a lot of the diverse meaning. Like another one is like in Myanmar, when I see to my country society, we always say that Myanmar is kind of the broken society. Yeah, everybody
Mhm.
say the broken society, and then so they are showing that like a broken piece or something like that. But for me, is a I want to be trying to define the some beauty or aesthetic in that broken situation. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's why I cut to the umbrella, and then I install to the zip, and then when you zip in and zip out, you can make a different shape like a butterfly or the cross
Ah,
or there. Yeah, so
ah,
that's why even you can look at to your society, even it's broken, but you can find to the beautiful thing in that situation.
right. And also again the way in which hands come together to do it, right?
Yeah. Because
So once again the action of
that's
people.
why and then even I'm making the installation, and then I invite to the Orient to be involved, and also that the involvement of the action are by the hand. Yeah, so that's why most of my work,
Right.
even video, sculpture, or installation, so all the hand movement are involved in there. So because I put in that element in all of my artwork. Yeah. And another one is
Right.
a kind of the funny story behind that, the Parasite alternative. I watched a movie in the late 90s. Yeah, and then that movie called, I think, the Six String Samurai. The samurai supposed to be have a sword, yeah, but this samurai have no sword, like they have a guitar, yeah, Six String Samurai.
Okay, so they're
So
musicians really.
yeah. You also have like a samurai with a guitar. So and then that is he have a like a broken umbrella. So everywhere he go, and then he using a broken umbrella. Yeah. So and then all the like the cover of the sheet are tearing out, and yeah. So and then I got that kind of image in my mind long years ago. And then when I making the artwork, when I saw the umbrella, and I want to make to the tear out all the umbrella, and then because I got the image from that movie. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Right.
then when I assemblage to that the two different thing. Yeah, umbrella and then zip. Actually, they are not really supposed to be matched. Yeah, but they have a same theme are open and close. Yeah, so that's why I
Mhm.
was assemblage the two like kind of the paradox to the two different object in one place. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if because it's also like the zip implies that there's a split or a
Yeah.
rupture, right,
Yeah.
in the fabric of the umbrella, and so the umbrella is rendered useless actually,
hmm
effectively, right? So you combine these two very antagonistic
hmm
things, the zip and the umbrella. Right. And also like the fact that the idea came to you from an American film, independent film, not even a mainstream film,
Yeah. Not
is
mainstream
interesting.
thing. Yeah.
Just kind of also to connect your work with what's happening currently. One of the things that I find really interesting talking about performance art in Myanmar is that some of the things that I've read about and you've described to me with regard to the civil disobedience movement is that the protesters, they've adopted certain acts or actions as a way to show their resistance. There's a nightly clanging of pots and pans, right? That happens at 8 o'clock every night, when crowds gather to do it. And then also we were talking about, how the use of the women's garment, the longi, that protesters are kind of trying to use to ward off or slow down the police, because it's superstitious, right? Like there's a superstition around it, right? That if men like pass by the lungi, they will be emasculated or something like that, right? So there's all of these there's a performative charge, right, to all of this. So, and it really kind of collapses the difference between art as a symbolic reordering of social or political regimes and the material or historical context from which it emerges. Like art and life are kind of really colliding with each other or collapsing into each other. So, do you want to comment on that? Because on the face of it, it sounds like, oh, people are staging these acts, but actually they have a very real effect, in the way in which they're able to navigate, as the Lyongi, example proves. So, do you want to just comment on it as both a citizen and a performance artist? Because the body is kind of like the common site, right? Like in both protest and performance art.
Yeah, like the first, I would like to say the tempot action, like every night, 8 o'clock. So we bring the utensil from the kitchen, and then we hit the make a like a noise from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of action from our ancestor use, yeah, long ago. So that action are for the, especially for the, we want to be moved to take away or go away to the bad separate or the monster or something like that, yeah. But in the 21st century, so we reuse that kind of the action from our ancestor use from long time ago, yeah. So because first week of the when the military take the power, so that kind of action is affected, yeah, because of the military coup take the power in the first day of the February, and then the temple action start in the second February, a day after that. Because first in Myanmar, people we not really go out to do demonstration, so we first do the demonstration in our place, yeah. That kind of action also, if you hit that on that with the like tensionally, and then so you can be kind of release your anger somehow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so and then also
Like it's cathartic, is what you're saying. Like
yeah,
this, it's therapeutic.
yeah. So and then also,
You're being allowed to make noise.
if you hear the noise first, people will be not really enjoying with that sound. But later on, so, if you hear the sound, hear the sound is that's one really encouraged to do something. Yeah. So like yeah. So and then every night, if all the citizens join to that campaign. So the kid and then the old people, and then even in the disabled people, and also even in the patient, and then who cannot walk, and then sleeping on the bed. Also, they hold the one like a
utensil.
yeah utensil and then hit it, yeah. And also even in the old people like 80, 90 old people, they are hitting in there, yeah. Because you can see this is how we respond to the military coup, yeah. So we were not accept to that take the power, so we have to be against that, yeah. So this is the action to show our anger, yeah. And then the second thing you said, that the longi, the woman longi hanging in the air, and then the first, when we block to the street, the police car, and then the military car came, so we blocked to the street to defend this, yeah. When we hang in the woman, the longi, like the saket, yeah. So they're not really there to go enter to that longi, yeah. So that one also, you can see that is Myanmar is a state, male-dominated society. A man is a head, and then the woman is a low. So the woman stuff, when you touch that, so you will be
It's taboo.
left. Yeah,
weakening. You
Yeah,
associate it with weakness in a patriarchy, right? And it's the
yeah,
same in India as well. Like
yeah.
there are so many aspects of women's culture that are considered inferior to male culture,
Mm-hmm.
and or like cis heterosexual male
Yeah,
culture. So everybody else is like a second class citizen, right?
yeah,
And anything to do with their world, whether it's in the form of objects or ideas, is considered
yeah,
less than.
yeah. And then all this revolution also, we have to be fight that the thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get at is also thinking about, critiques of when people talk about the aestheticization or spectacularization of politics. This is, of course, not a new thought. Walter Benjamin, Guy Debord, and Boris Groys have all discussed this in depth in different sort of accents, if you will. One understanding of the phrase has to do with the replacement of substantive or material action with a phony kind of symbolism, making the locus of agitation look a certain way, irrespective of whether it actually yields political results. But on the contrary, I'm wondering if we might regard the Longi protest as a mutually intelligible staging of social relations, as a kind of performance in which, an object which kind of, one could argue, might have an aesthetic function as well and could easily be definitely made part of a well-meaning white cube resistance art type installation, but it sort of becomes a political weapon and actually saves lives,
yeah, yeah.
has like a material impact. uh, so there's a certain kind of collapse between art and life there, which is suggestive. What do you think?
Yeah, because in the past, yeah, there's like there's a one saying like when the woman say our longi will be waved like a flag, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's only the saying, so not really happen. So but in this time, so that saying is a pecan real, yeah. So
Yeah.
on the International Women Day in the Sanjiang area, so people use the longi as a flag, and then there's like one group marching like a woman the flag with the longi, so they do
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. In the 1988, yeah, in the revolution, all the student reader when I met, it's all other men. I say, where's the woman? Where are the woman now? Yeah, so because they not really give position to the role to that the woman. Yeah, I saw some one or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like you have somebody like Aung San Suu Kyi, right, who became
yeah,
an
yeah,
international figure of resistance, and it's unfortunate that she kind of backtracked on a lot of her principles
yeah.
later. But for a long time, the most famous Burmese in the world was a woman. In such patriarchal societies, you often have like this one dynast, usually, like her father was such a famous freedom fighter and communist
Mm-hmm.
leader. So she kind of inherited that legacy. And so, in that sense, she's an exceptional woman with exceptional privileges,
Yeah,
right? But you're saying that in the vast kind of at the structural level, Burmese society is still very patriarchal.
yeah.
And so, something like this, the Longi, the way it's used, currently being used, like you said, in contrast to for it simply being a symbol in an art gallery. Here it's being used on the streets in a particular way, and it's also being used performatively, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's being used in performance also. So there is a kind of continuum that's troubling, this dichotomy between this kind of difference between art and life. But also, like, since we're talking about things like the gendered nature of Burmese society, I'm also thinking about what we were speaking about earlier with regard to public and private space, and how older generation of artists, they would rather exhibit privately and not deal with the state at all. Whereas part of the reason that the second generation of artists were keen to engage with the state was that so that there could be an opportunity to show deeply coded art to the masses, right? So I'm also thinking about that with regard to, like, like currently it seems like a lot of younger artists, like Gen Z artists, are doing a lot of internet online protest art, that they're creating and circulating a lot of protest art online on the web. And older artists are doing a lot of on ground work, like more conventional protest art, like the Artist Street campaign. So I wanted you to comment a little bit about this because I'm wondering about, like you've talked about how years of military rule rendered public spaces and commons fragile and precarious, and so pushed artists to conceptualize public space in unique ways, both virtually and actually. So, do you want to comment a little bit on this?
When we organized the artistry, yeah, by the AMCA, we not really found the interesting award, like honestly say, but we saw a lot of a lot of the Aung San Suu Kyi portrait, and then the freedom fighter portrait, and then yeah, so but we got some money to donate to the support to the CDM, yeah. So that's why me and my colleague discussed it, because this revolution is a kind of the intellectual revolution in the 21st century. But when we see to
Mm-hmm.
the artists, I mean, in the artistry is the artists came from they're like 50, 60, 40 something. So a big O, and yeah, so they are not really know the contest nowadays, yeah. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that is why what they draw is like a Aung San Suu Kyi portrait, and then like a tree figure, the sign and something like that. Not really interested what say, yeah. But what different with between the generation Z and them? So Gen Z are, I saw they have like some kind of the like a online platform. So they're very
Mm-hmm.
fresh, and then yeah, they're very directly to be like attached with the what happening in Myanmar. Yeah. So that is why we can see a big difference between the young generation and the old generation. Yeah. But like in the 15 years ago, like before the country reform 2010, like
Mm-hmm.
early 2000, or yeah, something like that. If you even draw to the Aung San Suu Kyi portrait, you can easy to be arrested. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
So that's the history of the Aung San Suu Kyi
portrait, yeah.
image.
So and then when the country is reformed 2010, so and then people stay doing that thing,
So
but
you're saying that that Myanmar has moved on,
yeah,
and what was once radical is no longer radical,
yeah,
right? It's been neutralized
yeah,
because she came to power as well, right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, the NLD won in 2015, so it's no longer an act of great defiance, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then now when I see all the artists painted like Aung San Suu Kyi, it's like, oh, we are forward, like same like 20, 15 years ago. Yeah, you have not really, yeah,
Guys, it's 2003
yeah.
again.
So what? Not really have a,
2003 called it
yeah,
one
yeah.
portraits back. No, I know what you mean. It's also like how the Che Guevara like image
Mhm.
industry, right? Like Che Guevara is probably paying
Yeah.
bacteria to decimate him faster. you know, Coming back to the way in which Gen Z has been using the
Mhm.
internet. Um, I know that, or like I know from what we've been able to see of the protests in Myanmar. There are all kinds of
Mhm.
different genres, people, practitioners of different genres of people who are lending their voice to the protests. Like you have a lot of cartoonists, you have a lot of graffiti artists, you have a lot of graphic designers, and I think what you were talking about with regard to Gen Z having a lot of online presence, I think they're aggregating a lot of documenting a lot of material that is being generated every day and putting it up on internet archives and web archives so that people from around the world can view it, which would not have been possible maybe 20 years ago. So that difference is stark. I'm also thinking about the laws. You had something like the telecommunication law, right, in
Mhm.
2013, that made certain, like all kinds of internet activity illegal, right, or criminalized it. Things that are very innocuous but just as a way to control what young, especially young Burmese people do online. So again, it's like it's a form of policing that just migrated from the physical street to the internet. So that, and then you have the municipal laws as well, right, in Myanmar. I know that you have them in Yangon, where graffiti artists or street artists can be penalized for making work in public space. So it once again kind of goes back to this idea of what a commons is or what public space is, and why the body becomes again and again so important, right? The physical body and performance becomes so important. Not just bodies even, but also new materialities via digital infrastructure that allows those bodies to circulate in ways different from physical space. Currently, with the amount of the volume of visual material being generated daily in Myanmar, it's by citizens. It's what it's a kind of counter visuality, as Nicholas Madzov termed that sort of response. Well, he was speaking about it in the context of colonial and imperialist hegemony, but one might say an occupying force. And he also talked about this idea of visual activism. So I think that is what is happening, in a sense, with all of these artists and art workers being involved with the protests and contributing to it.
Now is the public space is it owned by the prepare, so public. So that's why become a
Mm.
lot of the tests on the street. I can give you the example in the Myanmar Junction under the bridge. The crew of the graffiti artists they draw the three finger sign, like big one, like
Right.
a 10 feet long
Yeah.
or something like that. And then next day, the police use black color to remove that.
Oh, yeah,
And
to
then next
obscure it.
day that the Generation Z came, and then they
Right.
draw on the black color with the X-ray, like the sign of the tree figure. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
yeah
Again.
again yeah so so
So that's like basically you can keep trying to paint over us, but we will come back
yeah. So
again and again.
that is why we say, okay, military push us to do more creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like you're talking about colors, and I want to ask if it's true that for a while in the certain colors were also banned. Yeah,
They say the red is represent the black. Yeah, the people black. Yeah,
blood.
black. When you use the like a lot of the red color, they say why is you use that? That's why some of my senior artists they reply to the photos and in my house I only have red and black, so that's why I use that two color.
Yeah, but also black and white was also proscribed at
Yeah,
one
that's
point. No,
true. Yeah.
I read that apparently it represented like
Hmm.
polarity, which was unacceptable to the regime. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right, to any rational person hearing this, because the thing with fascist and repressive regimes is they latch on to the weirdest shit and then like make life
Yeah.
difficult for everybody.
Yeah, and then also like in the censorship, like in the motion picture, they cannot show to the like a kissing scene. Sometimes they show some kind of the symbolic,
All right.
the flower is
Yeah.
falling down or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had that in Hindi cinema also for the
yeah,
longest time in what
yeah,
we call Bollywood. Hindi cinema had the same features where you couldn't, because we again also live in a fairly conservative society, restrictive society. You couldn't really show people kissing and
mhm.
having sex, so they would use
Yeah,
metaphors
metaphor. Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
flower. And like it's like you're like, this is worse. Nobody needs
Yeah,
to know this. Nobody needs to see this. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Some of it is just to do with cultural sensibilities, right? And paternalism. A lot of post-colonial states like India and Myanmar have this problem where the idea there's this kind of paranoia about the masses being too easily excitable. Final
yeah.
question, and we will jog our memories of whether we met at
Mhm.
Serendipity in Goa 2018. Tell me about the work that you showed there.
What I show in the serendipity, I show the 25-cent coin of my country, from my country. So 25 cents.
Mhm,
In that 25 cents, there's figure, lion figure. So I cut out the
mhm.
lion figure, and then the title is one day there will be no more lion. I enlarged to that. Actually, the Norman coin is original coin is 1 inches the diameter, but I enlarged to the
Mhm.
25 times, like 25 inches.
Ah, yes.
And I played the word like one day there will be no more lion, and then 25 per/cent, because that is also dedicated to the 25% in parliament from military. So that is
Military.
we haven't elected, yeah, we haven't voted. So because according to the 2008 constitution, so the military not really hand over to the 100% power to civilian. So they only hand over
Yeah.
75%. They still keep their 25%. So that is why whenever some kind of the big issue want to be discussed in the parliament, and then 25% from the military stand out, and they say objection.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do remember the work. What's it called? What's the title?
One day there will be no more lion.
There will be no
Yeah, because
lions.
lion also
Right. Right.
the symbolic of the military backup party.
Okay. So then it's kind of it's a critique of
Mm-hmm.
the military through this
Mm-hmm,
figure
mm-hmm.
of the lion. You seem to have a thing with big cats. I think you have a video out called Captain
Again,
Tiger
yeah,
Gun.
yeah. So this is like kind of the childhood game, like a scissor paper stone.
Oh, like rock, paper, scissors.
But in Myanmar version is a Captain Tiger again. Because I want to be try to
Mm.
interpret with that childhood game with the political aspect, yeah. So like, okay, what is meaning of the captain? What is meaning of the tiger? What is meaning of the gang? You know, the captain is like from the military, the powerful, and then because at that time, like 80s, why I born in is the military have a power, so I live in that, yeah. So that's why in our society, the powerful is the military. And the tiger, in Myanmar, we have a two meaning. So one is the animal tiger, and then powerful in the animal, and another is the male. Yeah. So that's how you can see is Myanmar is still the male dominated society, and also the
Right.
gang. The gang are the powerful in the object. Yeah. So I was try to be discover how the like a military disco even in our childhood game. Yeah,
Right.
so there's like I put all the character in my body, like I wear the like a captain uniform, the general uniform, and the tiger mask,
Mm.
the paper machine, and then holding the gun. Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
Mhm. Yeah, this revolution is we must win. Yeah. Also, this is for the end game for both of us. Yeah, both citizen and both the military. Yeah. In the civilian win, a civilian lost, so we will not have time for fight the military in the future. So they will be take the power forever. And also, if we win, so there will be no more space for the military in our political and also in the society. Military have to be back to their own position. They have get back to the barrack, and then yeah, because now you see in the 21st century, there is no space for the coup in the war. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, that's true. I really hope that all your words come true, and we're all rooting for the people of Myanmar. Thank you again for giving me your time amidst all of the organizing that's happening. I recognize that you are in in a not the safest of situations, but thank you for taking the time to speak to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me to share my experience living under the newly coup in the Myanmar. So and thanks to I can share how we resist and against to the military and then peacefully protest. Yeah, how like the Gandhi way will be walked again in 21st century.
Yes. Hope you get a constitution like Dr. Ambedkar wrote for us as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning into Art Alap with Moe Satt as we discuss Myanmar's ongoing military coup and pro-democracy civil disobedience movement through his and his peers' artistic practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and share the episode over social media. For more information and updates, you can follow us on Instagram at art.alap and on Twitter at @RTALAAP.